Hello, if you're watching this, you're probably wondering what you should pull for on the custom summon banner, if it's even worth it. Well, today I'm going to basically showcase everything that I know about the custom banner, which is that it's pretty much every other banner that's ever come out before that has to do with all this summons. It's a normal banner. In any case, I'm going to show you the characters I think are kind of worth investing in, or what the traits of the characters that are worth pulling for are, and whether or not you should even be pulling for the banner, because in all honesty, guys, it is what it is. Let's get into it. So, first and foremost, we'll start with the D tier, because in all honesty, this makes up the entirety of, or like maybe half of the entire list. Unfortunately, the truth is that characters like Fairy Tail, Diane, Holiday Yuffie, Seaside Bologna, and Luna, though sometimes nice in bridging some of the gaps in, certain PvE content, or they can definitely be a little bit helpful in certain niche situations, I guess. Like, they're just not that good. Trying to, or allowing yourself to get milked 100 times into then deciding, oh guys, well, what I should do is now pull for Seaside Bologna when we have maybe, like ML Senyo or Politis, these characters coming on in the horizon. We might have like a limited Tamarin, all these potential pullable characters, and just the fact that they release 2 limiteds every single month should be enough for you to decide, or should be enough for you to figure out that a lot of these characters in the D tier are just not worth it. Again, like I said, they're very niche, and at best they maybe win you a couple matches in arena and guild war, or they'll maybe help you with one specific kind of content for like, or are usable in ancient inheritance, but what does that even mean for you? Not worth it. Let's move along. The next tier that we have is in the C tier, and to be completely honest with you, the only reason why I would say that I guess not Sharklet, Summer Break Charlotte is a little bit more usable, or a little bit better than the characters in D, is because at least this character has like 1% usability in some form of like RTA or PvP, I guess, like capabilities, or she has some form of RTA usability. Now, arguably, you could say that a character like Fairy Tail Tenebria has the same, so if you want, okay, you can put them both about in the same tier, or you can move Sharklet down, honestly, down to D tier, whichever you prefer. But the honest to God truth is that a lot of these characters, or a lot of the limited characters, their artifacts are decent at best, or a lot of their artifacts, or a lot of the things that you have with them are like kind of iffy, not really worth pulling for. I would argue that Mature Sunglasses is pretty decent when it comes to potential artifact options for Summer Break Charlotte, or I guess for Summer Break Charlotte's artifact is really nice as an option for certain bruisers, and kind of the same goes for Fairy Tail Tenebria, because you want her, what is it called? Fairy Tale of a Nightmare, I think that's what it's called. That artifact is pretty good on a character like Solitaria. But outside of that, the two characters are very niche in actually being picked in RTA, so they're kind of in the C tier. It's kind of like, it is what it is. It's not really worth like hassling yourself over, or like, getting all antsy over, though. That's basically the C tier, and long story short, guys, probably not really worth pulling for, in all honesty. The next tier that we have is the B tier, and you'll notice there's no A tier, so like, these are kind of self-explanatory, but the reason why the B tier is so far from the S tier is because even in the B tier, a lot of the previously mentioned characters that you would like to have pulled, or even for the character that should make up the A tier, these characters have just literally not rerun yet. So all you have access are to these B tier characters, and a lot of these characters, either their artifacts are not that usable, or they themselves are already a little bit more usable, but still, like, you have to have pretty good gear, or you have to have like a very specific game plan in mind in order to play them. Landy, although kind of usable at times in stuff like what is it, like Hell Raid or Nightmare Raid, has kind of flown under the radar. She's arguably a little bit more usable than Summertime Mysteria for PvP, or specifically for real-time arena. But Summertime Mysteria is still pretty decent for Guild War, and just in general, the artifacts are usable between the two characters, or I guess the artifact for Summertime Mysteria is definitely more usable than Landy's. But Landy is kind of just there because, again, she's a grass ranger that does a decent amount of damage, can help you in certain PvE stages, but not enough to kind of put her in the A or S tier. And that kind of brings us to the S tier, and compared to B tier, where again, it's characters where you kind of want their artifact because they're multifunctional, or the characters are usable in both PvP and PvE. Cerise herself is kind of decent, like okay, I guess, for being used in certain expeditions like Light and Dark, but ultimately no one is really using her for that, or no one is pulling for Cerise for that reason. The S tier, and the reason why Cerise is so high, is because of Guiding Light. If you aren't familiar with Guiding Light allows your, whichever ranger, whichever character that holds the artifact, to go stealth at the very beginning of the game, and you can't hit them, and that's really useful because the game is kind of dominated by characters like, I don't know, like Zio, and a lot of openers, basically. Pretty much just Zio, but Zio is so impactful that's really important to have stuff like Guiding Light right now. And of course, since that's the case and everyone needs like 7,000 copies of Zio, or 7,000 copies of Guiding Light rather, it's kind of worth it to consider picking up or putting Cerise on your banner. But in general, guys, Cerise, Summertime Assyria, and Landy are kind of the only characters from the limited pool that I would put on here. And even amongst like the other characters that you could argue is kind of worth pulling from for like the RGBs, and if you just kind of scroll down here on the right side or right above me, you see none of these characters, in all honesty, guys, are worth this custom, like this 2-month custom banner that we have going on. It kind of, in my opinion, feels like a bait, and I'll go a little bit further into it later about whether or not I even think the banner is worth it. But in all honesty, no RGB currently available to us that, isn't limited is even worth putting on this list. If you were going to get any of these characters, in my opinion, it would be these 3 limiteds, just because you want them or you don't have them. And I can kind of understand, because again, they're limited. But that brings us to our last and final point of the video, which is, honestly, guys, should you even pull for this banner? And I'll leave it to Twitch and YouTube chat, but the answer is it's no. That's what they're going to say. The answer is no. It's not really worth it to pull for this banner, because in all honesty, having more Guiding Lights doesn't really do anything for you. There's no real value in, pulling for more Guiding Lights. Most people at least have one. If anything, it's maybe okay to try and get 1 copy of Guiding Light, but the honest to God truth, guys, is that if you don't get Guiding Light and you get something like, Bloodstone, or you get some other random 5-star artifact, you're going to be pissed off. So it's not worth it. In my opinion, even if you have like the pull capability, you have to be such a whale, in my opinion, to even justify pulling for these. I forgot to mention as well, Landy is also an imprint for Navy Captain Landy, but you're starting to get in some real whale territory there. That being said, though, guys, although we don't know what's coming in the future, you could probably expect that there's going to be 2 limiteds coming at some point during this or the next month, and that's going to use up all your Sky Suns, so just keep that in mind when you're starting to pull. In all honesty, again, it's been only 2 months since the last time we had the limited custom banner, which makes no sense. Like, Smallgate, we don't even, like, they had to force a mid to come in earlier so that we could maybe get it in, like, the next banner. It's been 300, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, it's been 364 days since, or it took 364 days for a mid to get rerun for the first time. 364 days. So with that in mind, I don't even know when the other characters are going to get rerun. Characters like Lethe, Ocean Breeze Luluka, Gala Lilius. It just feels a little bit weird. It's disturbing a little bit, to be honest. Laya as well is another character that's limited, and we don't even know when that character's getting rerun. So if you are kind of on the fence about whether or not it's worth it to pull for a character that's limited, that would kind of be your justification for pulling them. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much all my thoughts on, or I guess my like quick tier list of like the limited characters and the banner in general. Long story short, just don't do it. This is like kind of one of the worst banners to pull on right now, because there's so many things up in the air. As for like what's coming in the future, definitely not worth pulling. But if you want to pull, I mean, I can't stop you. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the banner, however you enjoy it or see it. But yeah, that's going to be it. Make sure to check out the rest of my content. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a lovely evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Check out the rest of my socials. If you want to find more information or find more stuff about, like, you know where to find me for stuff like this, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Adios. Perfect.